You ever ask an AI chatbot a question and it gives you an answer that is just confidently, spectacularly wrong? Yeah, it's a massive problem. But today we're going to talk about the solution. It's this really powerful technique called Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. And it's making AI smarter, way more accurate, and honestly a whole lot more trustworthy. So let's get into it. So let's just start with the question that's probably on your mind. Why does this amazing, brilliant technology sometimes feel like it's just making stuff up? Well, it's not trying to lie to you. It's actually a fundamental limitation in how these models are built. And this weird behavior, it actually has a name: hallucination.
I like to think of a large language model, an LLM, as a kind of flawed genius. It's read a huge chunk of the internet, it's absorbed all this human knowledge, but it has some pretty serious blind spots. And those blind spots are what lead to these answers that sound right but are totally wrong. Let's break down what those flaws actually are.
Okay, first up is what's called the knowledge cutoff. See, an LLM isn't learning all the time. It gets trained on data up to a specific point in time, and then that's it. It's frozen. So if you ask it about something that happened last week, or even yesterday, it has literally no clue. It's kind of like asking someone who's been in a time capsule since 2022 to give you their thoughts on today's news. And this quote right here, it really just nails the problem. The AI doesn't know what it doesn't know. So to fill in that gap in its knowledge, it generates what it thinks is a believable answer. And that, of course, often ends up being completely made up.
All right, limitation number 2. These models have really broad general knowledge about a ton of stuff, but they don't have deep expertise. I mean, think about super specialized fields like medicine or finance or some niche type of engineering. The public data that's out there just isn't enough to train a model to be a true expert, so its answers can be pretty superficial or, worse, just totally irrelevant.
Now this one is absolutely critical, especially for businesses. For really good security and privacy reasons, these public models are not trained on your company's private, internal documents. They haven't seen your customer data, your Slack messages, your emails. And that means they can't answer specific questions about your business, which makes them pretty limited for a lot of real-world work. So what's the end result of all these limitations? Well, it's pretty simple. A total breakdown in trust. When an AI keeps giving you inaccurate info or irrelevant answers, and it can't tell you where it got its information from, you just stop relying on it. And this is the exact problem that RAG was designed to fix. So what is this big solution? Well, welcome to Retrieval-Augmented Generation. Honestly, the best way to think about RAG is with this simple analogy. A standard LLM is like it's taking a closed-book test. It can only use what it memorized during training. RAG, on the other hand, gives the AI an open book test. It lets it look up the answers from a trusted source right before it speaks. So, at its core, RAG is a technique that plugs the AI into an external, up-to-date, and authoritative source of knowledge. This could be anything: the live internet, a company's internal database, a library of product manuals. The whole point is to ground the model's answers in actual, verifiable facts.
Okay, so that sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the engine that makes RAG run. You can really break the whole process down into 4 main steps.
It all comes down to these 4. You've got ingestion, that's where you load up all your data. Then there's retrieval, which is how the system finds the right piece of information. After that is augmentation, where it combines your question with the facts it found. And finally generation, where the LLM gives you that smart, accurate answer. This diagram shows us the whole flow perfectly. Let's trace it together. It starts over here on the left, with you, the user, asking a question. Now, instead of that question going straight to the big AI brain, the system first does that retrieval step. It searches a special kind of database for relevant context. Then, in the augmentation phase, it takes that context and sticks it together with your original question. Only then does it send this new, superpowered prompt to the LLM for the final generation step. The result? An answer that's based on facts.
Let's zoom in for a second on that really important retrieval step. How does it find the right information so well? Well, modern RAG systems use this powerful hybrid approach. On one side, you have semantic search. This understands the meaning behind your words, so it gets that best science gifts for my daughter is conceptually related to STEM kits, but on the other side, you also have keyword search, which is perfect for finding exact matches, like a specific part number or a piece of internal jargon. You combine the two and the search becomes incredibly accurate.
And here is the secret sauce. This is the augmentation step. The system literally takes your original question and smashes it together with the facts it just found.
This creates a brand new prompt that basically tells the AI, hey, I need you to answer this question, but you have to use only these facts I'm giving you right now. This is how you force the model to be grounded in reality. It's brilliant.
So, we've laid out the problem, we've seen how RAG works. Now let's talk about the payoff. Why is this such a game-changing technology for anybody who's trying to build something useful with AI?
Well, the benefits are just huge. First off, it completely solves the knowledge cutoff problem by giving the AI access to real-time and private data. Second, it builds back that user trust by giving answers that are accurate and, this is key, citable. You can see the source. Third, it gives developers way more control over what information the AI uses, which is great for safety. And finally, it is so much more cost-effective than trying to constantly retrain a gigantic model from the ground up. I mean, it's a win-win-win-win. But, the story doesn't even end there. RAG is evolving. It's going from being this simple lookup tool to being a core building block for something way more powerful: AI agents. This, right here, is the next frontier. Now, take a look at this diagram. You can see the leap forward. See that agent right in the middle? When a user has a problem now, the agent doesn't just do one search. It acts like an orchestrator. It can decide on its own to check a product manual, then query a database, and maybe even use an external tool like an API to send a text message. It's using RAG to pull in info from all these different places before it puts together a complete solution. This is about reasoning and taking action, not just answering one-off questions. So let's just bring it all home. Retrieval-Augmented Generation has gone from being some interesting academic idea to being an absolutely essential tool. It's the critical bridge between the incredible, broad knowledge of these big models and the specific, timely, and private data that makes AI actually useful and responsible out in the real world. And that really leaves us with this final thought. As this technology gets baked into more and more of the apps we use every single day, the question really isn't if developers should be using RAG anymore. The real question is how we can best use it to solve our own unique problems. This is a fundamental shift in how we build with AI, and it's all happening right now.